They don't like us. We damn for sure don't like them.
See, there's Hill right there. Queen has him, but now he's worried about the quarterback making a play. Now Queen's all over Lamar Jackson. Nobody is on Justice Hill.
So we have truly entered a new era of Baltimore Ravens football, with the Baltimore Ravens defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers last night, 28-14. We killed a bunch of narratives. Now with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson displacing these narratives, it didn't start during the playoffs. It started during the 2024 NFL season. First, with Lamar killing the narrative that he's not a quarterback. He's not quarterbacky enough. He didn't deserve the MVP last season. So what did Lamar do when he came into the season? He obliterated some records. He became the third Baltimore Raven to pass for 4,000 yards in the season. He had 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, to go along with 900 rushing yards. Never been done before in NFL history. Then they switched it up saying, okay, he has elevated his passing game to another level, but he can't hang with the Chiefs. He can't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then on the opening weekend of football, Lamar Jackson stood toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and actually outpassed him. That is one thing that they don't talk about in the Ravens' loss to the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson actually outplayed the great, the all-world Patrick Mahomes. Then, yes, the Ravens did lose to the Steelers in the first matchup, limiting them to 6 field goals. But in the second matchup, Lamar and the Ravens destroyed the Steelers. And of course, to some, this became an anomaly. Okay, they beat them this time, but what if they have to face them during the playoffs? And I got my wish. I got to see the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round of the playoffs, because this is what everything has been about. This is why Lamar pushed all the chips to the middle of the table and said, listen, if you're going to bet on anything during this season, you can bet on me. And Lamar Jackson showed the world and showed his detractors that he is that dude. Because all we heard about all season long is, yes, Lamar is amazing. He's better than any of his MVP seasons. He is an elite passer now in this league. He's probably 1 or 2 in the quarterback conversation, but his playoff record, he hasn't done well in the playoffs. He has 9 touchdowns and 9 turnovers in all of his playoff games combined. So we came into this game with people still saying, you know what, he's playing great, but when he gets to the playoffs, does he have something to prove? Can he win when he's needed the most? Will Lamar Jackson finally lead this team to a Super Bowl? And I'm here to tell you, with this new era of Baltimore Ravens football, it can be done. And we're seeing history right before our eyes. And the first thing that the Baltimore Ravens did to help dispel this myth of Lamar Jackson not being prime time in the playoffs was the opening drive. Yes, we kind of bobbled that punt return, and it pinned us back to the 5-yard line, and a lot of people thought, here we go again. We're not starting this game off the way that we need to, but Lamar Jackson was like, hold up, hold my beer, I got this, and led the Ravens on a 95-yard touchdown drive, culminating with a 15-yard touchdown pass to Rashad Bateman. Now, this is the first time in Lamar Jackson's playoff career that he led an opening drive touchdown. And that 95 yards is the second longest touchdown drive in NFL history during the Super Bowl era. So even while we thought that the Ravens may have stumbled in the beginning, Lamar Jackson actually imposed his will, even running on 5 consecutive plays. Now, a lot of times in the past, a lot of people spoke about how Lamar should see the open lanes and just take it when it's there. And I guess he took that to heart. This season, I believe that Lamar is going to do everything in his power to help the Ravens win. If it's running more, he's going to do it. If it's going to be standing in the pocket and passing, he's going to do that as well. But early and often in this game, Lamar exerted his will over the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that people said was his kryptonite, a team that knows Lamar better than anybody else and can defend him like no other. Well, I think that Lamar, over the last month in which he's beaten this team 2 times, showed nobody can stop him. When the Ravens are actually on their game, no one can stop him. And I have to give credit to John Harbaugh and Todd Monken for finally sticking to the formula that helps the Ravens win games. Ever since that loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, the Ravens have played a different brand of football. They play the brand of football that helps us win games, the things that we need to do. We ran Derrick Henry. This is not the playoff failures of the past where we ran our running backs 6 times. We rode the hot hand early and often, and look what happened. It led to us rushing for 299 yards, the most against the Pittsburgh Steelers in their vaunted history, the most in Ravens playoff history. So if we stick to the formula and we stick with what wins, who's going to stop us? Who wants to tackle Derrick Henry in sub-freezing temperature? We saw in a couple of plays, Patrick Queen, most notably, he didn't want any parts of it. He saw Derrick Henry running and he jogged right beside him. They ran 24 out of their first 32 snaps. Now you tell me, who's going to stop that? The Bills definitely won't stop that. The Chiefs, I don't think they can. And I know that the Texans would have problems stopping Derrick Henry because they have earlier this season. You have Lamar and Derrick Henry combining for 267 yards. Derrick Henry himself rushing 26 times for $186, and Lamar Jackson rushing 15 times for 81 yards, the most rushes he's had in the longest time. I can't remember the last time Lamar Jackson rushed this many times, but like I said, he's doing everything in his power to win us a playoff game. And not only is Lamar running the ball, he's passing effectively. He completed 16 of 21 passes for 175 yards and 2 first-half touchdowns. He finished the game with 130.2 passer rating, which is the highest passer rating of his career. All of these things have been judged. All of these things have been scrutinized and highlighted throughout his career. What are they going to say now? Lamar Jackson ran the ball. Lamar Jackson had 2 touchdowns and 0 turnovers. So what is the narrative going to be? I know that they're going to say, well, he only did this because of Derrick Henry, but they're not going to talk about how Derrick Henry benefited from them trying to defend Lamar and leaving lanes wide open because defenders did not know where to go. And I think Lamar Jackson's passing had something to do with that as well. When you're that efficient, defenses are caught off guard. They're on their heels. They don't know if you're running. They don't know if you're passing. Lamar Jackson and his scrambling and him looking downfield, looking for the open man, it has become elite and it is literally unstoppable. And if you need further proof of this, look at right before the half when the Ravens were leading 14-0. The Steelers got stopped with 2 minutes left on the clock. The Baltimore Ravens got the ball back on offense with about 1 minute and 50 seconds left, and Lamar Jackson went to work. He led the Ravens down the field with his passing, and with 11 seconds left, no timeouts, he scrambled around for almost 7 seconds and found Justice Hill wide open for a touchdown. And Justice Hill would not have gotten open if it had not been Lamar improvising and avoiding tacklers. So he's not always looking to run. He's looking to make plays down the field. And when you get this type of efficiency, when you get this level of Lamar Jackson during the playoffs where they said he could not do it, who's going to beat us? Who's going to stop it? Later today, the Bills play the Denver Broncos, and we find out who the Ravens' opponent is going to be for next week. But to me, it doesn't matter who the Ravens play going forward. If we play like this, if the defense can step up while the offense is scoring points, there is nobody in this league that can stop us. Yes, the Ravens lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, but to me, that was a fluke. I think if the Ravens see the Eagles, the Lions, the Vikings, it doesn't matter the next time, they aren't going to stop us because we now know who we are and we now know what we need to do to win these games. And more importantly, Lamar and his playoff record is just inching slowly up. Said at the beginning of the season, by the time the season is over, Lamar Jackson would have a winning playoff record, and there could be nothing else said about him. He's going to be a Super Bowl champion. He's going to have a winning playoff record. He'll possibly have his 3rd MVP. So what else are they going to say? And people thought that I was crazy when I said this. People thought last year that Lamar may struggle and not be the player that he is, but there's something that people aren't looking into that some others in another fan base, they're kind of looking and scratching their heads like, hey, maybe these guys were right. And if you don't know what I'm talking about offensive coordinator Greg Roman. They said that Greg Roman made Lamar Jackson. Greg Roman made Lamar into the MVP and gave him the weapons and the advantage to go out there and be the best version of himself that he could be. And I think that Lamar over the last 2 seasons has proven that without Greg Roman, his game has risen because Greg Roman is deficient. He's pigeonholed to a running game and he doesn't have a passing game. He has still not over his entire career developed a passing scheme that works, and nothing was more evident than the Los Angeles Chargers lost to the Houston Texans yesterday. Now, yes, he can scheme up a ground game like nobody else, but when it comes to passing, he can't do it. And I know some of this blame has to go to Justin Herbert, who threw 4 interceptions, but he threw 3 interceptions for the entire year. But even still, with those 3 interceptions, the passing game didn't look crisp. The concepts looked a little bit off. They had issues that we had, receivers being in the same place. And I think fans over in Chargers land are starting to learn what we learned. When it comes to the postseason, Greg Roman isn't it. He may do some things during the regular season, but when everything is on the line, his teams seem to fold. And most notably, out of Lamar Jackson's 3 career playoff wins, 2 of them came without Greg Roman. Is that a coincidence? I think not. And I think with the help of Todd Monken and his concepts and his tutelage and actually giving Lamar more weapons, it has elevated him to this level. And more importantly, which probably is the most important thing of all, is Lamar is totally locked in. He's tired of the narratives. He's tired of the talks. The only thing he concerns himself with is winning football games. And with the way that he is playing now, I don't see anyone beating him. Now, he may not care about if he wins a third MVP. A lot of us Ravens fans, we kind of care. We want him to get it because he is obviously the best player in the NFL right now. But for him to get his just due, for him to get his flowers, he has to go out and continue to win playoff games. And I think with this situation that we have right now, if we stick to this identity, if we stick to this game plan, if the defense can continuously get stops when they need to, there is no way that anyone is going to beat us before we reach the ultimate goal of making it to a Super Bowl. And Lamar Jackson said it best.
They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that. Nah, man, I'm cool.